Thank you, Mandalee. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for spending your lunch hour with all of us to be able to talk a little bit more about marketing and the efforts that we're all ensuing at our various agencies. So I do want to say that as part of the peer learning circles, we use a notes page to kind of work through the meeting. So you should be able to find that link that Holly has shared in the chat. And so if you could just go ahead, I see many of you are already in the document, but it should be the CAP TAP Marketing PLC notes. And just to capture who's here and really get a sense of what it is that you're coming for today, I would like you to, under the column agenda item and welcome and introductions, I would like you to share right over here in the notes column, your name, where you work, your role, and one question you hope to explore today. You were invited to send questions ahead of time, and those questions I have captured in this document. But if we have time, we'll certainly go back to the ones that you're dropping in the notes column, and we'll address those here as well. And as you're doing that, I'm just going to continue and talk about what the process is going to be today. So first, I'm going to start over in the notes column, but under where it says how we are approaching this conversation. So a guiding principle of PLCs is that the wisdom is in the room. So we're all facing similar issues. In this case, it's similar issues with marketing. And often it's those of us that are here in this room that really have the experience and the knowledge that we can share with one another that will really kind of help solve our problems as we take some of this information back to our agency and try to implement it. So it's important to know that as much as I like to think I know about marketing, I am not the expert, right? I am one of many experts in the room today. And given that, I want to make this a very informal and very collaborative session. So thank you for being on mute right now, but when we get to the questions portion of this PLC, I would really love to have active engagement where you're coming off of mute, you are sharing with all of us some of your experiences around marketing. I would also like to invite you to write in the notes column as well any kind of comments to what's being shared. So we're really, instead of using the chat, and you can use the chat, but I would like to encourage you to use the notes page, because then we'll have all of this discussion captured in one place. So that would be my preference. So now I'm going to go over into that second column again and just talk about the PLC. The PLC is this lightly facilitated, time limited, right? Just 1 hour's discussion around marketing. And before beginning the session or discussion, we're going to review the questions that are listed below. We'll take a few minutes so that all of you can kind of write some answers, or maybe what you're doing at your agencies currently, into the notes column, in the right column. We'll discuss the questions that seem to be of the highest interest first. And then at the end, we'll share some top takeaways and areas for further sharing and discussion. And if it seems like there is a need for an additional PLC or additional discussion on this topic, we can help to arrange that as well. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit and to that discussion box that says discussion, how can we improve marketing efforts at our agency? And you can see all of the questions that are here that have been submitted already. And there's even room for a couple additional questions that we could drop in the box. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, and I want to invite you at the same time to kind of share your thoughts in the right-hand column. So how does CAPE intend to work with the consortia to market to English language learners and use Spanish media? The next question is, what are some best practices to get data analytics for our marketing efforts? We'd like to see which marketing efforts are most effective so we can better focus our marketing and funds. Is a full print catalog with all course offerings still an effective marketing strategy? We have an administration that wants to steer away from a full print catalog, but we also have a population of both staff and students who still want a full print course catalog. What is important to consider when developing a print or online catalog? What are your thoughts on fully digital or electronic marketing? We have an administration that wants to go near or almost fully digital, but we also have a population of students who may not use online social media often or not be as digitally inclined. And the final question we have, is there a checklist of outreach for an agency that is just beginning to think about marketing their programs? So that's where we'll start. I'm going to just do a quick scroll up to the top again to see who's here with us today. Thank you for those who have put your name and where you work, your role, and any additional questions. So Gino, welcome. It's good to see you here. Good. Oh, thank you. I forgot to share.
No problem.
Thank you, Mandalee. I'm sorry. I had it up on my screen. Okay. Baron, welcome. Batcher, welcome. Good. Okay, so Gino had the question, how can I become a better marketer? Thank you for that. Thatcher has, how do consortia solve marketing for their small schools with very small budgets? Good question. Okay. Eric from Ukiah says, how can we reach new students? ESL, high school diploma, how can we cast a wider net? Good, welcome Cheryl. Welcome Dr. Paul Lacerda. Okay, Natalia has, what are some good ways to track the success of marketing campaigns? Jeff from Oroville says, what marketing tool do you think is most effective to reach students? Welcome, Andrea. Michelle has, from Lyric, says, what non-traditional marketing strategies are consortia using? Where are you outreaching? Great questions. Stella, welcome. Justin says, what's your go-to marketing tool? What's working for you? Shelley, welcome. Janae says, is there concern about marketing for ESL courses when the teacher shortage makes it difficult to offer enough classes for students who are already on a CASAS test wait list? Good, great questions. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to where our questions are. And at this point, I'm going to give you probably 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes to read the questions again. And Mandalee, if I could have you just scroll down a little bit to where it says 12:10 and discussion, how can we improve marketing efforts? There you go. Thank you. All right. So team, this is your time to think about what are you doing in any of these areas and what expertise can you provide? Share with us your wisdom in the room and write your answer in the box, in the various boxes, please. Make sure you're scrolling down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions total. And about 3 more minutes. Okay. Thank you for everybody that is writing into the document. I appreciate that. We're going to start with question number 2. What are some best practices to get data analytics for our marketing efforts? We'd like to see which marketing efforts are most effective so we can better focus our marketing and funds. And we had some folks write about Google Analytics and about Constant Contact Analytics, an email marketing system. Does anybody want to speak to those? Anybody that wrote or anybody else that wants to come off of mute and speak to some of your analytics that you're using for marketing?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Baron from Torrance Adult School. So I'm actually the poster of that question. So thank you all for your responses. Those are very insightful. But we'd like to also learn how can we measure the data or analytics for marketing efforts that are external. So for example, we market on like our transit buses with overhead bus cards. We market on the city billboards, digital billboards around the Torrance city. And we also have an ad with EMB. So we were trying to figure out how do we know if those are actually effective and worth investing in for future years? But the responses here are great because we also do, monthly newsletters, email campaigns. So thank you again for all the insight.
I can maybe help provide some clarity on that question, Baron, when it comes to some of the more traditional media. I work with the Kern Adult Ed Consortium on communications. I also have my own communications agency. And my experiences when going things like the out of home, so bus, when you're looking at buses or shelters and things like that, there still unfortunately isn't a great way to track ROI against some of those tactics, just because it's just a lot of times used for more awareness branding. And so it's always difficult to track. Sometimes we've played around with QR codes on those to try with a compelling offer or time limited offer, like, class is starting soon or something, to see if we can kind of start to track the traffic into the site. But that's unfortunately, it's a little bit difficult beyond that. What we did do once is I ran an outdoor campaign in a local area for a tech company I used to work for. And this is a little out there, but as a creative strategy, we took drones and we flew drones around the outdoor boards, and then we used those in social promotion. So you kind of have to, I guess, get creative a little bit with it.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Would anybody else like to speak to it? I do see more being added to the document, so thank you for that. Okay, so if you have more to say, you're welcome to drop it in the box or write it in the box, but we'll move ahead to the next question. Mandalee, if you can scroll up a little bit. Thank you. So is a full print catalog with all the course offerings still an effective marketing strategy? We have an administration that wants to steer away from a full print catalog, but we also have a population of both staff and students who still want a full print course catalog. And I'm seeing a few different responses. I like seeing the full print guide. Get excited about seeing it. There's some estimated costs for the course catalogs. The involvement of consortium partners to offset costs. Surveying your target market can give you a sense on whether they're ready for online. I'd like to invite anybody that either wrote something in the box here or has something to say to come off of mute. Jeff, would you be willing to speak to how you established, maybe that's some creative thinking to involve your consortium partners?
Yeah, we can you hear me? I think so. When we've been doing a print catalog, well, long before I took over. But when we started doing advertising or using our consortium money to do advertising for the whole consortium, it kind of planted a seed to include them in our catalog because we're the largest agency in the consortium. And so we can, since we were already selling or sending out the catalog, I just asked a couple partners if they wanted us to advertise in our catalog for them, and they jumped at the chance because they don't have the reach or the budget to do it, and it just helps us offset the cost. One of the things we did as a consortium is we actually created a short documentary about adult education in our area, and then turned that into a 30-second commercial and ran it in the movie theaters and on TV for a couple years. So we've been trying to get creative, but it's tough when it takes a big hit on the budget. So
For sure. Thank you. Anyone else? How do you go about surveying your target market to know if they're ready for online only? That's the last comment there. Can anyone speak to that?
I would say surveying, just making sure that the survey's non-biased toward what you're trying to find out. So if you're wanting to know, who's online, you might want to ensure that the survey is not just online, that there's phone surveys or written, maybe intercept surveys or whatever you can do to accurately kind of really assess the community, because that can be tricky on the budget.
Good. I'm curious to know, I don't know how to get it in the answer in this format, but curious to know how many of us are doing print catalogs versus maybe moving away and doing digital catalogs. Can you maybe use the chat to write print or digital or both, and we can get a sense of what people are doing in your consortia or agencies? If you're doing a print catalog, write print. If you're doing a digital only catalog, maybe write digital. And if you're doing both, write both in the chat, please. Thank you, Cheryl. It looks like there's still a good mix of both print and digital. Interesting that within the same year, Barron wrote in the fall they do a print one, and in the spring they do a digital one. Interesting. Okay. Any additional comments for this particular question? All right. Let's go ahead and scroll up, Mandalee, to the next question. What is important to consider when developing a print or online catalog? So now we're getting into the specifics of maybe the content. So I'm seeing stuff like student-centered, clear and straightforward, class descriptors, program and course information, calls to action to direct students for registration, questions, scheduling, understanding the print costs, the vendor, considering where you're going to post these catalogs. Good. I know we have a lot of experts in the room as far as putting together both print and digital catalogs. So who would like to speak to this? Therese, did you come off of mute? Do you want to speak?
Oh, I did come off mute. I don't know why. No. So Elk Grove is always, except for during COVID, printed, or at least last 30 years, printed a catalog or some kind of print that's been mailed. One year we did a postcard when we didn't have a full course offering. My personal feeling is that, and I shared that in the chat, is that everyone's a possible client or a student or knows of somebody, because I know we should be doing more target marketing. But in a community, I think the more you get out there, whether it's a catalog, community events, that type of thing, I think you want to reach as broad a population, because you can, if you're working with schools or churches or whatever, they probably know someone that could use the ESL class, or they have someone they know that hasn't finished high school, or they're looking for a job, or they're a business that's going to post that needs to find employees. So, and those are the services and offerings that we have. So I've always, as Renee knows, been very strong about trying to keep a catalog presence. Now we use that catalog digitally. I mean, we put it on the website and we send it out in emails, and we send it to our partners all electronically as well. So you can use it both ways. But as expenses have gotten higher with the catalog, and printing has shot up, we just basically looked at our the area we were serving, because we did reach at one point beyond the Elk Grove borders. So we just cut back the number of pages that we have to help with that cost, and looked at basically just staying within our school districts zip codes. But I am somebody who still feels that you need to get out there, even if it's a newsprint or something. You need to get out into homes. Are a lot of them going to get thrown away? Probably. But I do think, for instance, if you have a community ed program, I don't know how many of you have community ed programs, you won't have a successful program if you don't have some type of catalog. But it's also a great tool for when somebody comes to the front desk. You can hand somebody everything that you offer, and everything, because when they open up the catalog and they say, oh, I didn't know you had this training program. So that, or I didn't know you had a job center. So the catalog being representative of ourselves, I think it's very, our staff and students very much appreciate having the catalog. They look forward to it. They're part of we choose a theme. It's become a school project every time we offer it. So I just wanted to throw those kind of things out there for you.
Thank you, Therese. Others who have experience developing or printing, I'm developing a print or online catalog. Okay. Not hearing anything further. Let's go ahead to the next question, please. What are your thoughts on fully digital electronic marketing? So this is maybe a similar question, but we'll see if we have some additional responses. We have an administration that wants to go near or almost fully digital, but we also have a population of students who may not use online social media often or not be as digitally inclined. So we're seeing it's helpful to have a balanced approach. It's good to have a targeted demographic. Word of mouth, we know, is still how many people hear about us. Cell phones and QR codes seem to work. Anybody else have anything else that you would like to add to this? It doesn't look like most. Cheryl, maybe you could speak to why you've chosen to go digital in your agency, if you're still with us. Or anybody else that's gone fully digital? Have you gone fully digital and experienced success, or how do you measure success in a fully digital communication? Okay, it looks like we don't have anything to add to that question, so we'll go ahead to the next question, please. Is there a checklist of outreach for an agency that is just beginning to think about marketing their programs? And the response was starting with the outcome in mind and a student-centered approach to messaging towards those outcomes. Developing that message is important. Start with what you want to accomplish and then drill down from there. Anybody have anything else to add to that one? Any checklists that you go off of, or maybe a how-to process? Michelle, I saw your camera come on. Did you have anything to add to that?
And Justin and I were sitting here talking about when we had our marketing consultant come in and talk with us, and she just mentioned to remember that, you know, it's going to take like 20 different contacts before you actually get a student who comes in and is ready to register, and that she was talking to us to be mindful that we're not overwhelming on our marketing materials that we send out, that our tendency as educators is to put everything they need on one flyer, and we have like the programs that we offer, the times we offer, contact, like all this stuff on there. And really what would be more useful is just a powerful message that tugs at their emotional string and hits some nerve with them that has them like think about it or engage with it or go look at the website or something like that, as opposed to trying to give them, you know, all the information that they need on one flyer. And I know sometimes we try to put everything. We do CTE, and we do high school diploma, and we do ESL. And she's like, pick very specific messages for very specific populations and just be very sparse in what you provide on there as their first point of contact, rather.
Thank you.
It's hard.
It is. And what works for one group or person may not work for another. So yeah. See some additional writing going on in the box, so thank you for that. Anybody else want to come off of mute? Talk about how you go about producing your kind of marketing campaigns.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Monique Anderson from Tri-City Consortium. And the outreach plan that I put together for our consortium includes what our goals are. I took a look at what each school had as a priority, what their goals were, the population we were serving, and to make sure that the messaging was clear, concise, but not full of, like as educators, like we use a lot of acronyms, and you know the words that we use are not common knowledge to our audience. So just to make sure that not to dumb it down, but to make it clear and concise enough for people to want more information, and to make sure there was someone on the other end at the schools that could engage with students who had questions. So just give them just enough to pique their interest, and then a direct contact of someone they could speak to at the schools to make a nice warm handoff, but not so full of our acronyms that it's like, okay, what does this mean?
Yeah, and we heard that a little bit for those of you that attended last week's marketing webinar. We heard that from ILSA too, right? That they changed some of those acronyms or even names of the programs to be more friendly to maybe what people would understand in the community if they weren't familiar with adult education. So thank you, Monique. Any other thoughts on this? Okay, let's scroll up to the very top again if we can, Mandalee. And we'll take, we'll go through some of these questions that our participants have asked. So Gino, broad question, but a good one too. How can I become a better marketer? Who has an answer to that one? How can I become a better marketer? What do I need to think about? And I can put that. Let me see if I can drop that in the.
I mean, I guess I will just say, as a marketing professional, I mean, I've only ever worked in marketing in my career mostly. And I think it's, yes, I mean, thinking like, really understanding your audience, but there's a whole lot more that goes to it than just that. So, I mean, I think really leaning on, thinking with your audience in mind, simplifying your message, and that was said earlier, which is, I could not agree more, Michelle. But also leaning on the people who are good at this. And in the case of bringing a consultant in, or, identifying someone on the team or, that has the experience, I think that there's just, it's an entire discipline. It's a whole, there's a whole lot that goes into the profession. So, I think the more you can be research-based and understand your audience from the perspective of data, current data, what are the problems that they're facing? What are their obstacles to receiving the value that you have to offer, and then really simplifying your message, and also just making sure you have people in place on your team who can provide, the strategic support. But
thanks, Andrea. So the answer is find someone like you, so I can do what I do.
You're the master trainer, Gino, and you're so good at what you do. So it gives you more time to do what you do best.
So I hereby am going to stop thinking about marketing.
Well, I didn't say that. Don't go crazy.
Thank you for sharing, Andrea. And thank you for the question, Gino. I did add the questions to the after the last question, after that question number 6 from before. So if you have something that you would like to add to the to your box, you may need to refresh your page. I'm not sure, but you should be able to see them and be able to enter into the box. So the next question is, how do consortia solve marketing for their small schools with very small budgets? Who's from a small school and can speak to that? Or a smaller consortia? Is this maybe a way that, so maybe speaking to the consortium leaders in this group, is working at a consortium level, a way that you have assisted small schools in having kind of a bigger footprint? I'm just asking. Michelle, go ahead.
And where I work in Lyrics, I'm on the Los Angeles Consortium. We have, we have several mega districts in our consortia that have, millions of dollars to spend on marketing and advertising and TV commercials and stuff like that. And then we have other smaller ones. And then we have lots of school sites and classroom teachers that are asking, like, marketing is one of their key areas that they're very concerned about right now, is marketing and getting more students enrolled. So we have, I think I put the link in our in the chat box, that we've been collecting marketing tips and tricks and things that local school sites can use and teachers can use to do marketing on their own at a small scale that's, you know, more low cost or free. And we've been just putting them onto our webpage, and we push them out to our different districts and teachers that way. So if anyone's interested, you're welcome to go look at our website. We have lots of different articles up there. Every time we find something new, we just stick it up there. And then our meeting with our marketing consultant, the video is on our website too. So if anybody cares to listen to that, it's all right there. Anybody can have it.
Thank you so much. Anybody have anything to add to Michelle's comments? And I see some being typed in the box as well. So make sure that you're referring to the document. The next question, how can we reach new students, ESL students, high school diploma students? How can we cast a wider net with marketing? Can anyone speak to how you've targeted a specific program demographic? You're welcome to come off of mute as well as type in the box.
I mean, I think that there could be an opportunity to really lean on community partners who have easier access to some segments of your population that, you know, by leveraging kind of their email lists or their access, that could be a good opportunity and relatively low cost.
Thank you. Okay, I see some additional notes going in the notes column, so thank you. Anyone else want to speak to that?
I think branding yourself with excellence, and that's not, I didn't coin that term, making sure that when students do arrive, they are attended to, their needs are met, and just offering excellence from every staff member involved, not just admin, not just the custodian, everyone. If everyone is involved in this push for excellence, the diaspora will take care of itself. We experienced that at Elk Grove Adult and Community Education. We raised our standards, population went down for a little while, but then shot right back up again, thanks to everyone involved, not just a few.
Thank you. Michelle.
You know, we had one of our member districts, Montebello Unified School District. They just had an event that we're going to nominate for a model program thing.
Yay.
But they did what they call their CTE fair, and what they do is they bring out all their students to demo what they've been learning and how the program works. And the administrators work with the K-12 school district, and they bring over all the seniors, and they bus them over and they bring them to the adult school.
Wow.
And they get to see and talk and ask students questions about what they have been learning and get interested in those things. They do demos. And then they also do they do it along with a community fair. So they have a lot of community resources, and they invite anybody from the community to come to find out about those resources, but then also they're enrolling students at the same time. So that was a really great activity.
That's fantastic. That's so good to hear that they're promoting the adult ed programs. That short-term certification is what, you know, so many of our students can benefit from that, or potential students. Good. Anybody else have anything to add to this question? Okay, I'm seeing lots of notes going into the notes box down below. So thank you so much. And we'll go to the next question, which are, what are some good ways to track the success of marketing campaigns? From Coastline College. I know that Crystal, our guest speaker, spoke to this a little bit last week. Is there anyone I don't know, Crystal, if she's on the call today or not, but is there anyone that is able to speak to tracking the success of marketing campaigns? This might be similar to one of our earlier questions, which what are some best practices to get data analytics? So maybe we can just refer back up to that question. Michelle had asked, what non-traditional marketing strategies are consortia using? Where are you outreaching to? So we've heard some bus ads, we've heard DMV, we've heard some different things. What are some other non-traditional marketing strategies that people are using? Go ahead, Kathy. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. I use postcards to follow up. Just a quick little handwritten postcard that says things on it. I would have, if I had one, I'd show you guys. Anyway, those seem to work really well. I've actually had students, I take a survey at the end of, every student's experience. And one of the things that I ask them is, what made a difference? And the postcards seem to do that. So they bring back people who haven't been around for a while as well.
That's excellent. And you said you personalized them?
Yes, I actually handwrite them, each one of them.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you for sharing. Others? Unique marketing strategies.
I think attending events that are non-traditional, you have to go where the people are. And sometimes those events that happen on the weekends or evenings or things like that, where you have this amazing audience of people and they're surprised to see you in a space. It could be a farmer's market or some type of fair that's going on in the community, but connecting with our community-based organizations, our workforce development boards, AJCCs that are local, and just everywhere people are, to go there. And we kind of sometimes expect the people to come to us, but sometimes we have to go out to them. And that personal touch, seeing you out there, sometimes is a better brand than what we can do with digital marketing. Having a person you can talk to is like, oh, I did want to talk to someone about this. Now I see them in front of me, and to be able to connect on that personal level will start to bring other people in, get the word of mouth going, and then people can actually see us in spaces where they would traditionally see our schools.
Thank you, Monique.
Renee, this is
Yep.
Therese.
Go ahead.
I don't know if my consortium is going to kill me or not, but I did send the idea to Patricia that we consider maybe having a booth next year at the state fair, and that all the consortium schools take a certain amount of hours to cover the table, but promote our entire consortium, all of our schools. So some type, I don't know, if county fair or whatever, if the consortiums can work together at an event like that. I mean, maybe there's something else that's gets a larger group. Again, there's so many people that attend those events of all different cultures and everything. So anyway, that's an idea that I sent to Patricia. We'll see. Wanted to throw that out.
Well, that's definitely unique, Therese, and being in Sacramento area region, that's probably a good spot to go. Good. Okay, we're going to end with one last question. Well, there's more questions, but for this section of the PLC, we're going to end on this question. What's your go-to marketing tool and what is working for you? And you can write it in the box, in the notes column, or you can come off mute. You must have some marketing tools that are out there. Justin, I saw that you submitted this question. Do you have a marketing tool that you like, maybe to kind of get us started?
So, yeah, it's funny because I think we all know that at the end of the day, word of mouth is the most effective tool that we all have. And one of the things, as Michelle referenced, is a lot of the stuff we put on the Lyric website, like some of those brochures that teachers can use. But one of the things that I personally experienced was very, very effective when we did it for our ESL program were door knockers. We literally go door to door with door knockers about our program. And we'd give them to our students in class so they could give their family, friends, neighbors at work. We'd also put them in like laundromats, places in the community that our potential students were. And I know, like, I'm an ESL teacher, and I would have students that would give that to their friends, and I'd have new students show up wanting to take my class based on just those really, really rudimentary tools.
Thank you. Good. Doesn't have to be high tech to be effective. Okay, anybody else? Any tools that are helpful in marketing? Maybe haven't been mentioned today. Another agreement that word of mouth has been the most effective at their school. Okay, so without hearing any further, not seeing any additional hands or any further voices, I want to have you scroll down, please, to where it says closing and next steps. And there are 3 questions there that I would like you to take a couple minutes before we close out for you to fill in. So what was the most useful takeaway from this discussion today for you? What questions do you have for future exploration? And any other questions that you have about the PLC process or Cape TAP, you can put in that last box as well. Or I welcome you to come off of mute as well and share your thoughts. What's nice about these PLCs is that you do have the person's, you have a lot of everybody that attended today, you've got their name and their agency that they're associated with and their role. So if you heard something today that intrigued you, you might be able to reach out to them, right? To get some further follow-up. This is really all about networking and supporting one another and really kind of using our combined wisdom in the room. So this doesn't have to be the end of the conversation for marketing. Thank you for those of you that are writing into the notes column. Thank you. So Mandalee or Holly, maybe you could answer Ms. Banks' question about the recording for part 1. Thank you, Mandalee. I think we got through most of the questions today. I'm not seeing any questions for future exploration, but we'll go back and take another look and see if we've missed any. Okay, so with that, I want to just thank you again for spending your lunch hour with myself, Renee Collins, as well as Mandalee Gonzalez and Holly Clark. And it's really great to be able to see all of you and so many familiar faces and names. So we do have some upcoming trainings, which I'm sure have been promoted in the chat box. And so we will have additional deep dives into some really popular topics from the summit and related to our state priorities. And then we have kind of rounding out the series with a PLC for each of those. So we're looking forward to more Pure Learning Circle time with you and just being together in a learning environment with each of you. So thank you so much and have a great rest of your day and week.
Thank you so much, Renee. And then I just also would like to mention, if everyone would please grab the evaluation link, take those few moments. Speaking of data, that is how we are able to review and plan for upcoming professional development, as well as improve what we offer to everyone. And just like Michelle mentioned, if there are any model programs that you think should be highlighted, this is the time. The nominations are open for model programs through June 30th. So we really would like to encourage you all to consider that and submit a nomination as well as any proposals, as this is going to be our first summit back in person post-pandemic. Registration is open, so I'll also drop a plug for that as well. So thank you all for joining us on your lunch hour today, and thank you, Renee, for facilitating today's PLC.
You're welcome. I have one more thing to say, if I can, Mandalee.
Sure.
Dr. Paul had asked if we could, if people feel comfortable, if they would add their email to their name and their role. And if you want to do that, I welcome you to do that. You will have access to this document after this call. So thank you again.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Tashelle just asked where to put the email, and I think Tashelle, they just want it in the very first column of that document where you typed your name and where you were from.
Correct. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. I almost hit end meeting right then. Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a good
Bye-bye.
afternoon.